Right on. Okay, Randy.
Hey, good morning, Benson.
Yeah.
Everybody. Good to see you here on a wet Saturday morning here on the Big Island. I'm supposed to be at a Rotary Park project this morning, but it's pouring rain, so I decided to jump on here for a little bit, and then I may disappear and go out and get drenched if they're still having the. But it was supposed to be a park cleanup and then barbecue afterwards. So we'll see if that goes. But do appreciate everybody being here this morning. And it's been, it's just the way things happen. I mean, it's been beautiful here in Hilo the whole week. No rain at all. Went to an event over in Kona, and as Nestorio will tell you, it rained like crazy over there, and they were making fun of me bringing the rain over, but I came from sunshine and it was pouring in Kona. I think that was on Wednesday. Waimea last night in North Hawaii, same thing, raining there, but nice in Hilo. So now I'm paying the piper for all my bragging about the weather being so nice in Hilo. So, but anyway, great to have you here this morning. And Vincent, I think you nailed it about reminders, even though it's on the calendar. We tell folks, check the calendar, make plans accordingly. And right after this meeting, I will send out a reminder that we have president's meeting on Monday. Otherwise, if I don't, I'll have the same results and maybe even less participation. And it's the same time every month, but still, you got to remind those presidents and the AGs of those meetings and stuff. But anyway, glad to have everybody here. District conference right around the corner. We're in the final stages of planning and executing the conference. It should be really a good, fun event, laid back kind of event. And really looking forward to seeing you all there. And then immediately after that, we all take off for Melbourne. In the RI convention. So jam-packed between now and the next 60 days. So lots and lots to do. And with that, I'll turn it over to Benson and not take any more of his time.
All right, Randy. Well, thanks a lot. Well, it's kind of our time, but it's really good. It's always good to see you. And I'm in Hilo too, and I have my computer like right against the window, so I can see not that good of a day to be out there, but well, that's okay, man. But that's what we do at Rotary, right? Hey, not a problem. We're gonna go. We're like the post office, man. We're gonna get out there no matter what. So before I get going, Naomi, you got anything you want to chime in before we launch into this thing?
No, let's get going.
Okay, let's get going. Okay, so we actually started this series a couple of years back and decided to continue on, and it's really a series about leadership. And although our intention was to really work with developing leaders, ultimately the goal is to develop leadership within Rotary. Now, I've always been of the belief, and I think Naomi too, is that everybody in Rotary has leadership capabilities, right? And I think the reason that you join Rotary is that you have leadership capabilities, and then you want to contribute something beyond just yourself, right? And so that in itself is a leadership trait when you kind of get past this point in your life where, hey man, it's not just about me. So today we're actually going to do something that I've actually never done before. I did it actually in a different realm, but we're going to do a little exercise today that is kind of designed to get a sense for you to get a sense of what your leadership capabilities are within yourself, right? So, indulge me, and we'll kind of bounce through this a little bit. All right, so everybody can see that? Everybody see the, all right, let me get the slideshow part here. Hang on. All right, now I want to make sure this thing advances, right? So hang on a second. Did that move? It didn't move. Okay. So there's some reason why it doesn't move. Okay. Hang on. So one of the things that I wanted to make sure is that moved it, right? So now you're seeing a different slide. Okay, good. All right. So let's talk about the demand for volunteer leaders. Okay, so my daughter's in Seattle right now. My wife is up there. And so she signed her son, my grandson, up for T-ball. Okay, so they got like, I don't know, 8, 9 kids signed up for T-ball. So they came to all the parents and they say, you know, where I'm a coach. So if one of you parents wants to volunteer to be the coach, then we can have the team. But if nobody volunteers to be the coach, we can't really have the team. All right, so they're asking for a volunteer to basically be the leader of this little league team. Now, that is something that happens all over the world, everywhere, in every organization, profit, nonprofit, whatever. People have to lead, right? And so this is something I've been saying for years in Rotary, right? It's pretty simple proposition, right? If Rotary is based in our clubs, these 35,000 clubs, right? If we don't figure out a way to develop leadership within our club, no leaders, no club, no Rotary. Pretty simple, right? So if everybody, if that contention is right, that everybody in Rotary has some leadership capabilities, then we got to figure out how do we develop that within our clubs, within our organization. But it really starts actually within people in themselves. So I'm looking at the people in the screen over here, and pretty much everybody here is kind of in a leadership role. Some of you guys are going to start developing it as we go. And part of our Kuleana as leaders is to help others develop leadership, right? So Rotary is an organization of leaders. That's my belief, right? And if we want our organization to continue to thrive, then we have to develop leadership, right? So I'm the president right now in Hawaii Island Native Hawaiian Chamber of Commerce. Started in the late 80s, 1989. Had a really good group of people in it. Thrive, built it, or whatever. Right after 2001, they sort of lost their leadership and the whole organization fizzled out. It went dormant, dark. And then in 2017, a group of people, and I was in that group, sort of revitalized and got it going. And so, you know, the development of leadership in any organization, and especially in a volunteer organization, is super critical to make it go. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do, right? We're gonna do a little exercise now, and it's called your leadership story, right? And it goes like this. Now, we're gonna write a paragraph about ourselves as a leader. And the way it goes is this. So we start with this one sentence, and there's gonna be a series of them, right? And it starts out with this sentence. My family saw leadership qualities in me as a child. Now, if you want to write it down, like longhand, you write it down, or if you want to minimize our screen and open up a Word document so you can type it, what's going to happen is that we're going to go through about 10 or 12 of these. And at the end of it, there's going to be a little paragraph you're going to write, and it's going to really sort of describe you as a leader, right? So what you do is I put this sentence on the screen. I'm going to put a sentence on the screen. And these sentences, they just all go together. So the next sentence is the next sentence of the paragraph. And so you rewrite this sentence to make it true for you. Okay, so if your family never saw leadership qualities in me as a child, then you write down, my family never saw leadership qualities in me as a child. Now, if this sentence is true, like it was true for me, because my dad said, hey, you're the chief of this crew right here. My family saw leadership qualities in me as a child. I'm going to write it down just as I see it on the screen. Okay, does everybody kind of understand that? So at the end, what you're going to have is a paragraph about you as a leader. And so when you read that paragraph, you don't, I'm not going to ask you to share it. You don't have to tell us about it. But what it's going to do, it's going to sort of reveal to you, like, what is your vision of yourself as a leader? Okay, so here's the first sentence. My family saw leadership qualities in me as a child. If that's true for you, write it down or alter it in any way to make it true for you. My family saw leadership qualities in me later on as an adult. They sort of saw, leadership qualities in me. They never saw it, whatever it's going to take to make it true for you. Okay, guys got it? All right, that's sentence number one. All right, here's sentence number two. I always liked being in a leadership role. I always liked being in a leadership role. Or maybe I never liked being in a leadership role. I was never comfortable being in a leadership role. I always wanted to be in a leadership role. Rewrite that sentence to make it true for you. Okay, you guys getting the hang of this? And you just kind of connect it on to the sentence before. So we're going to end up with a paragraph at the end. Okay, guys got that? If you're like me, who doesn't really write longhand very much, I'd open up a Word document and I'm typing it out. Okay, here's sentence number three. In school, my classmates always chose me as the team captain or the group leader. Okay, like when you're in elementary school and the teacher says, all right, going to break up into groups and choose a leader for the group or the spokesman, kind of like what we do in breakout groups. When we go into breakout groups, we say, somebody choose a spokesman. Are you that person that always gets chosen to do that? Or were you never the person that was chosen to do that? So when they split up in teams where you're like the first one picked or the last one picked, rewrite the sentence so that it's true for you. Okay? Next sentence. I feel like I understand the traits of a good leader. I feel like I understand the traits of a good leader. I sort of understand the traits of a good leader. I don't really understand the traits of a good leader. Not really sure what a good leader is, all possible things you could put down. Okay, rewrite it so that it's true for you, or just write it like that. If this is true for you right now. That's true for you right now, easy, just write it down. Okay, next sentence in your paragraph. You guys keeping up okay? Anybody need more time? Is this getting complicated? Okay, good. See, you guys are pretty smart. I like working with people. I like working with people. Now, some people don't like working with people. So now here's the other thing is you can put a comma and put but, and then just write what more, right? I like working with people that I like. I like working with people if they don't disagree with me. I like working with people as long as they don't complain. Whatever it is. Make that sentence true for you. I hate working with people. That's impossible. Okay, next sentence. I enjoy learning new things. I enjoy learning new things. Some people don't enjoy learning new things. Some people don't want to read. Okay. But what we find is that people generally, Rotarians as a group, are learners. That's what I've seen. Okay, next sentence. I often get asked to take a leadership role. So are you the kind of person where they say, Hey, Jay, would you be head of this committee? Hey, Murray, can you be chair of this group? Are you that person? Or are you not that person where people don't generally see you? Okay, because what's happening now is as we're creating this paragraph, at the end of it, you're gonna see basically your perspective on how people see you as a leader and how you see you as a leader. Okay, ready? Next sentence. Here we go. I think I'm good at getting people to work together. All right. Now, like I said, you put a comma on that and go, I'm good at getting people to work together as long as they do it my way. You know, I'm good at getting people to work together as long as they listen to me. I'm good at getting people to work together if, you know, they don't argue with me. Okay. Make this sentence true for you. You can write, I hate getting people to work together. Okay. All possible. All right. Next sentence. We're almost done. So, you know, I think I'm a pretty good listener. I think I'm a pretty good listener. Add on to that, I'm a pretty good listener as long as people are not complaining. That's like me. Like when I did this for myself, I said I think I'm a pretty good listener as long as people are not complaining. Okay. It's kind of like, you know, like when my wife talks, I don't mind listening to her, but when she flips into the complaining mode, like my eyes just go like, I just sort of glass over because I don't listen to that much. Okay, I enjoy teaching others. I enjoy teaching others. Okay, leaders typically are people that are teachers or enjoy teaching. Okay. Now you may or may not like that, but make that sentence true for you. Like I said, this is just for you. You're not going to have to read it out loud or share it with anybody or whatever. Okay. Next sentence, I have patience with others. Once again, you can add on, you know, I have patience with others as long as they're not stupid, you know. Or I have patience with others in all situations. Okay, we're just about done. I'm open to listening to other people's thoughts and opinions, as long as they're not complaining. I'm not open to listening to other people's thoughts and opinions. I like listening. I mean, you can even qualify it more like I like listening to other people's thoughts and opinions. Okay. I think this is the last one right here. Having a leadership role has always been a personal goal. Having a leadership role has always been a personal goal. Is being in a leadership role something that you want to do or wanted to do? Okay, but got that one. I think this is the last one. I believe leadership experience will help me grow as a person. I believe leadership experience will help me to grow as a person. All right. Okay, I'm gonna stop share right here. I'm gonna come back to the group. Okay, did anybody write all of those sentences down exactly the way they were put up there? And my sense is that if you've been in Rotary and you're in leadership in Rotary, pretty much you wrote all of those sentences down exactly the way they were put up there. Okay, so just sort of read over your paragraph, however, and you don't have to read it to us. But anybody want to share their thoughts about what their paragraph said to them? Eva, you want to talk a little bit about it? I mean, you don't have to read your thing, but was there anything in that exercise that revealed anything to you about the way you see yourself as a leader and the way that you think other people see you?
Did you mention my name?
Yes, I did. I just
Okay.
asked if you wanted to share. That.
Okay.
You don't have to. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. In my thought, is to be a leadership should be a team model. You have to show the Rotarian what is good for it, and you show them as like a model. You do yourself best and show them how to do that.
Okay. Jay, what's your thought? I mean, when you look at your paragraph, anything new in there? Was that revealing to you at all, or pretty?
I don't know, I won't call it revealing, but it made me think of things, the first one where it started out, do I enjoy leadership role? I'm the oldest of 5, so,
Yeah.
with both parents working, I'm the leadership role. And, I really enjoyed it. I wrote a lot of them pretty much the way they were, stated. Some of the things I know, I'm okay teaching others. I'm not, I don't dislike it. I don't think I'm that good at it. I'm not one of the ones to delegate as much as I should. I know that's one of my things. I love people. I really do. I was a jeweler, but I was in retail, and I just enjoy talking to people all the time. I mean, on the run this morning, I stopped 3 or 4 times just to talk to people, and so that's the type of thing that I do. So I'm pretty good with that. But it made me think of it. Even though most of them were written verbatim, some of them weren't, and it made me think about things which I am, I guess. So I enjoyed it. My
Yeah.
typing is not as quick as I should be, but
Yeah.
I do the hunt and peck method.
Yeah, thanks. So do you feel like you needed a little more time? I mean, should we have?
No, I got it done.
Okay, good. There's two kind of sides to this, right? There's the way you see yourself as a leader and the way other people see yourself as a leader, which may be 2 completely different things. Because there are people in Rotary right now who really don't see themselves as a leader, but they continually get asked, hey, could you be head of this committee? Could you chair this event? And they're saying, like, why are they asking me? It's because we see them as a leader, right? So getting those 2 perceptions closer together, and because once you sort of meld them together, like a person starts to see themselves as a leader, then they sort of put themselves on that track where, hey, I could do this. I could be my club president. Joanne, you got your hand up. What's your thought? All you got to do is unmute.
Okay. Now can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
great. Perfect.
Well, I'll echo what Jay said. I'm the oldest as well. And, when you're the oldest, you get the responsibility and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
So you learn that early. And then when I was 13, my youngest sister was born. So I was like second mom. So that had a lot of leadership responsibility with it. I was not when I was younger in high school, college, I was not asked to take leadership of anything. I just discovered that I could do a lot of things. And one of your questions I loved is I learned about learning new things. I absolutely cannot stop the learning train in my head. I'm always trying to learn new things. Now I get asked to take leadership role. Before, when I was younger, in college and stuff, I wasn't. One of the things that I noticed that I think would be a good question here is, there's a quiet kind, when you're a leader, to look for the quiet kind of leaders. There's quiet kind, and then there's a kind that are the Energizer bunnies that are like always on fast forward. And to be able to recognize and appreciate the quiet leadership, I think that takes a little more finesse, and that's something that I think we all should look for. I think I'm pretty good at getting people to work together and what have you. And oh, I sound like I'm bragging. Okay.
No, no,
yeah.
no, it's good. This is about
Yeah, and
self-awareness.
I think listening is probably the most important skill. Listening to what people say, even if you don't agree with them or they don't agree with you, that's really critical in a club. And the teaching question, that's what I do. I can't stop teaching. And patience, I think one of the things of being patient is when I feel my impatience bubbling up, I kind of signal to people that I'm getting impatient with something rather than just, blast somebody because you don't agree with them. I think that's part of patience, is signaling when you're running out of it. Okay. Leadership role is not always a personal goal of mine, but teaching everybody to do their best is what I like to do in my life. So that's the 25-cent tour.
Yeah, that's really great. And that's what the whole exercise is sort of designed to do. Randy, go ahead, buddy.
I just had a couple of comments. Excellent exercise, Vincent. I think a lot of the clubs could benefit from that exercise. I think I've always been, a pretty good listener, but I'm not real good at the complainers. That are just looking for a venue to go on and on and on. And it reminds me of what Jennifer Jones said. I've heard her say it a couple of times, and one was at Pets last year before this previous Pets, and she says she tells everybody, don't water the weeds. In as a club president, you can you can listen to all your members and their thoughts, but when you got that weed out there that just is wanting to continue to complain, don't water that weed. Move on, because your time is just so valuable. Just a couple of thoughts that I wanted to share.
Okay, no, that's really great. So we have district governor level people on the call, and I was interested in your thoughts about it, Sandy.
Yeah, this was an interesting exercise. It brought out some things I hadn't thought about for a long time. Because growing up, and many of you may know, I was born and raised on the mainland. At a time, my parents and my grandparents had just come out of concentration camps out of World War II. So their focus was on what we know as Kuleana, our family obligations, our role, our carrying out our responsibilities. But leadership in the Western sense, right, that was viewed as being kind of up there, out front, that was a cultural conflict. You didn't do that. You were quiet, you were strong, and you led from behind, and you fulfilled your duties and obligations. And maybe that's why sometimes I often feel like I'm a dang wallflower when I go to events. I love people, but sometimes it's hard for me to jump out there in front, right? But there's always that internal I guess it's a conflict, but it's something you made me realize today where that came from.
Yeah. So, and we're a lot of times conflicted by our cultural upbringing, by that, right? So in my home, I was like, I was established early on as a leader because I was the guy who was assigned to cook for the rest of the kids. So my mom and dad, what they taught me is the guy that's in charge of everything is the guy that's doing the cooking, right? Because whoever controls the food controls the group. right? So they're gonna do whatever the guy who's doing the cooking is. Since I mean, I didn't get that till I was an adult, right? But my dad did all the cooking, and that's how he commanded. I mean, you know, he had sort of a military background, and so that leadership role, I wasn't even aware that was kind of going on. But our culture and especially what happens to us as children really dictates a lot of the trajectory that we're going to go on as leaders, how we emerge as adults. So what's your thought, Naomi, about it?
We have all different kinds of leadership styles, different hats to wear, and it depends on the situation because many times you need the kind of person that Sandy was talking about, because to lead, you need people to follow and do the things that you need to get done. So as a leader for the club, you're like the alakai on the canoe. And so you're going to have a goal where people share that goal and everybody's paddling for that goal and thinking on the same wavelength. Because if somebody is thinking, I don't want to go there, I want to go someplace else, you're not going to have everybody paddling together. So, it's that hat when you are working with a club that you're having a shared goal and getting people to work together. So it is good to have followers and doers, but it's just picking out those skills and putting those skills together so you work as a team.
Okay, Murray, thanks, Naomi. Murray, what's your thought?
Yeah, well, my background is I came before I came to the United States. I was living in a country where the leaders came from the academic section in school, and when there was no sports programs in the schools, official sports programs. It just happened to be Holland. So right about the age of puberty, I came to the United States, one as a political refugee, and secondly, I entered the American high school where the leaders did not come from the academic part of the school. They came from sports, because sports are really important in American schools. So I had to really change myself from seeing that it is not, the leadership is not that important in the academic part of the school, but it came from the sports, the football players, the baseball players. So that kind of, I underwent a really big change in my attitude towards leadership.
Yeah.
But then luckily, eventually, I ended up being the oldest child out of 5 siblings. And that kind of started me a little bit in being a leader. I really had no choice about it because my mother appointed me to be the leader. And then what really changed me is when I got drafted into the Army. And it was only for 2 years, but the Army is really good at putting really young people in responsible leadership positions. I was immediately made to be the leader of a small team and put on the East German border to help keep an eye on the Russian troops entering Czechoslovakia. And that added kind of to my leadership abilities, but a little bit I had. And then Rotary really showed me, followed up on that. My best Rotary year was when I was a club president. I learned a lot from being a club president. And I highly recommend anybody that hasn't been a club president to be one.
All right, that's what we're all this is pointing to that. Yeah, be a club president. All right, so thanks, Murray. That's really great. All right, I'm gonna go back to our slide presentation because we want to do a couple more things here. All right, so we just discussed what do we learn about ourselves, right? And so this slide or this question was what we did with the PEs at PETS this year, right? Who has been your greatest inspiration, right? What person in your life has had the greatest impact on you as a leader? And the reason that question was really important, and we spent almost an entire session in pets working with the PEs, talking about leadership roles in their life. Because, you know, the leadership type of, the way that they did leadership in my parents' era was command and control, right? I'm going to get command of whoever these people are, and I'm going to control them to do whatever I want. Okay, but the new leadership today, it's about trust and inspire, right? So how do we gain the trust of the people that we're working with and motivate them or inspire them to go forward and work together with others and create the kinds of things, create the type of impact that we're creating as Rotarians out in the world today, right? So we'll come back to that. You know, think about that, because I got a few more slides. I'm going to come back and talk about inspiration and the impact of inspiration in your life, because all of us on the screen today, whether we realize it or not, we're people that are impacting people that are out there. The things that we say, the things that we do, you know, the ways in which we interact with people, the way in which we listen to people, that is impactful to people that are out there. All right. So it's really about leadership of volunteers, right? And what I was saying earlier about the need for leadership of volunteers is really more critical than it's ever been. And it's really the most difficult kind of leadership because, one, you know, they don't need to listen to you, right? If it's in a work situation, you can say, hey, you know, get me that report or you're done by 2 o'clock. You can tell somebody, hey, I need this, and, you know, maybe they do it, maybe they don't. So volunteer leaders, they need to promote trust and inspiration. And that is not an easy thing to do. So all of those traits that we sort of went over in our little paragraph, right? Do I listen to people? Do I enjoy learning? You know, do I like working with people? All of those traits, and you know, where did I come up with those? Simply by observing Rotarians for the last 10 years, or in the times that I've been around people. These are Rotarians. People listen. You know, people like to listen. People enjoy learning, right? All right. So here's the 4 basic questions, right, of leadership, right? What are we going to do? How do we get there? Who's going to do it? When are we going to get it done? I mean, you know, you just sort of break it down in a nutshell. I mean, it sounds easy, but it's not that easy to do. And especially, you know, if you have people that may or may not want to do it, or they want to do it a specific way. So the leadership of volunteers takes a lot more finesse, and it takes a lot more support. Like, you could be the head of a company, a CEO, and you can say, well, hey, I'm going to do it my way. But you know, but a club president, it's not quite that easy, right? So a lot of people, they're reluctant to lead, right? They don't want to have the responsibility. They don't think they have the time. Maybe they don't want to fail. You know, maybe they don't want to work that hard. Maybe they don't have the temperament to really be a good leader. Well, all of those things are important aspects of how we integrate into our clubs as leaders, right? And so, you know, I see people that are sort of sitting on the fringes there, and they want to be asked because in their mind they have doubt, right? They have doubt. And to me, the biggest blockade to the development of leadership is personal self-doubt. So, you know, we see people here that have been club presidents and have been district governors. And at some point, you know, everybody has that sort of sense of doubt, but you overcome that and you say, all right, yeah, I have some doubt, but I still feel I have more confidence than doubt. Right? So democracy, right? It takes patience and skill, right? So, you know, it'd be easy to say, all right, my way or the highway, but we don't do that, right? And so how do we get trust and inspiration in people? You know, team building, it takes an understanding of what people want. And what do people want? They want to be recognized, right? People do something, they want to be recognized. They want to feel included in the group, you know, so that we talk about new members that come into the club, connect them with people in the club, give them, a compelling reason for why they want to be there. And they want to have their potential recognized. And when we ask people to step up into a leadership role, it's about really recognizing their potential. All right. So here's the greatest challenge, right? A leadership at the club level is it's continuing to be a positive driving force, regardless of the circumstances. So, it's kind of like, when my wife was pregnant with our first child, right? And people were telling me, man, you're going to love fatherhood. It's going to be great. It'll be the most wonderful thing that ever happened to you. It'll be a life changer. And it was, and still is, all of those things. But there were parts of it that were super difficult. There were parts of it that weren't enjoyable. There were parts of it that weren't that fun. There were parts of it where that was like tremendously defeating. However, the overall part of it is good. And that's sort of where we are kind of in our leadership, because things don't always turn out the way we want them to turn out, right? And so, we have to have that sort of sense of resiliency. That word resiliency really came up after the pandemic was over, because the pandemic took out a lot of people, not just physically, but it took them out mentally, right? It created a lot of doubt in their head. And if something went wrong, they're like, oh, I'm out, I give up, I don't want to be part of this anymore. And it takes resiliency to really be a part of something long-term, anything long-term. It takes a certain amount of resiliency to do that. All right. And so just for Randy, I put this in and said, even our president, Jennifer Jones, says, don't water the weeds. Now, the weeds are there, and what she means is that don't let the weeds drink all the water, right? Because I think as leaders, we only have a certain amount of energy and capacity to deal with things, right? And you guys know, if you know anything about weeds, the weeds require the most water. That's why you can have a totally brown field out there of grass. It's all dead, and the weeds are all green, and they're thriving because they drink all the water, right? And so it's not just don't water the weeds, but don't let the weeds drink all the water in the room. Okay. And then the last thing is to never underestimate the power of a small group of committed people to change the world, right? And I believe that's why Rotary has done such a great job. It's not because there's 35,000 clubs all doing the same thing, or there's 1.2 million Rotarians all doing the same thing. It's because individually in small groups of people all over the place that are committed, that we're making changes that are, that have created incredible impact everywhere in our communities. So let's get your thoughts about that. So those of you guys that are on the call, that have your cameras off, you should turn them on so that you can participate in the conversation. So let's talk about an inspiring leader. Oh man, there's my buddy Kimo right in the middle of my screen. So let's talk about an inspiring leader that in your life and why that person was inspiring to you. So Kimo, I'm gonna toss that softball out to you and give us some words of wisdom on that.
Sorry, I joined a little late. I'm just recovering from our major membership meeting that District Governor Randy led us on last evening. And, I think it's a combination of just being very positive with the people you're working with and being very supportive of them, recognize accomplishments, recognize positive things that people do, just being encouraging to some of their ideas. You may not agree with everything that everyone says, but that positive outlook. And remember, we're working with volunteers. No one gets paid here. So I think the key for me is just reflecting the appreciation that they do as volunteers. I think that's something that we overlook and don't do enough of.
Thanks, Kimo. Kara, you got your camera on, so it's great. It was good to see you.
I had a hard time, my button's not working. So I was like pressing.
Yeah, no worries, but we can hear you and see you now. So, so let's talk about an inspiring leader in your life. So, somebody that was either your boss or leader, your coach. Why were they inspiring to you, and what can we learn from that person that we could use now in our leadership?
So you're asking me now that my phone
Yes.
is working.
Yes.
Actually, it is Mother Teresa. I know she had some controversy in her practice, but if you really dove into her reason why she did what she did, and that kind of inspired me to do what I'm doing with the homeless. Like she wasn't afraid to actually sit by people. She wasn't afraid to talk with them and to get real with them. And after reading a book about her a few years ago, and when I started the Radical Hallway, I just said, well, I'm going to sit here and get real with people, because she was very successful in getting things done for them. You know, the whole reason why she created hospitals so that the very poor wouldn't die on the streets, right? That was like the main drive of her work. And I felt like if she could do it, that I certainly could. So it was truly a driving force that led me to the Radical Hallway, especially during the pandemic. But on a side note, other than her, anyone that I watch on TV or I read in the magazine and in social media, whatever, if they're doing something that catches my eye and my heart, I get inspired to keep doing. So it's like not just one person. I mean, my parents were guides. I mean, there's a lot of people in my life, but just watching other Rotarians doing work inspires me to keep going on. Yeah. So that's how my inspiration came about and how I keep going.
That's a great example. I mean, all of us could learn a lot from that. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's really great. You know, part of it is that, you know, we have to develop within us in Rotary. All right. So what is the motivating factor, right? So what is the motivating factor? And Joanne was talking about, hey, you know, we should start to pay attention to these quiet Rotarians, and we got a lot of quiet Rotarians that are out there. So what's the motivation we can provide them to wanting to step up into leadership? You know, like David. David, go ahead. I mean, you're stepping up into leadership, and I know you've been around a long time. So, you know, what motivated you at this point to step up into leadership right now?
Well, it's not that I chose to be a leader. They kind of cornered me to be a leader in a nice way, and
Nice is good.
I'm just taking on the responsibility. I feel like I've been in Rotary for about 28 years and always been on the sideline, just an attendee, and just reaping the benefits of being a member of Rotary. So when one of the members asked me to be the president, and that was 3 years ago, and I thought about it. I says, "Yeah, I think 3 years from now, I can become the president of the club." So I took that challenge, knowing that I had a lot of time to to grow, develop, and at the same time, you know, I was slowly phasing out of leadership for my business. So it put me in a situation that I thought that I could have the time to be able to do this, and that's the reason why I'm here, because I mean, I personally, I wouldn't have volunteered for this, and after going through pets and everything, and knowing what I know now, I mean, it's great. I feel challenged to be the upcoming president. But then again, the time commitment is pretty huge. You don't think it's much, but once you get involved in it, I mean, if you just want to be a mediocre president, yeah, you can just follow along and just do what everybody else did. But if I'm going to take on a position, I want to try to be the best I can be, and it's also best for the club. So I'm looking forward to my presidency and seeing what I can do, as the president of the club. So I like this training sessions here at Benson. I think it's awesome. I think this is really good for all of us, and that's the reason why my president-elect is on this session as well, because I want her to develop as a leader, as well as myself developing, because I think it's so important. If I had taken your leadership training, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, you would have been very helpful. But maybe then again, I would have said, "Oh, I don't think I want to be the president." But I think once you make a commitment, you gotta keep it, and then you work at it, and I think it's going to be good for me, and hopefully be good for the club.
Wow, that's a great perspective. Thank you, David. That was awesome. Yeah, it's a good thing we recorded that, because I'm going to use that. So you mentioned that you started in your work, that you now it's started to kind of throttle down a little bit, and now you can bring that to Rotary. So I wanted to throw this out. It's a question, actually, this Nestorio, I see you over there, and we haven't heard from you today, but I know that a lot of us in our work, we're in a leadership position. So does that translate then over to Rotary? I mean, is it an easy transition? Is it a difficult transition? Is it like it doesn't really compute? So what's your thought about it? In this story, let's go with you. I know that you have a big leadership background outside of Rotary, and so did all of those traits you developed business wise, did they translate over to Rotary easily or not so easily, or what?
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I grew up poor in the Philippines, but through the generosity of the United States, I was able to come here, join the U.S. Navy, and I didn't have any leadership experience at all, or any leadership background joining the U.S. Navy. But as I progressed through the ranks, leadership in the military is different. As Randy would know, you have the uniform code of military justice. if they don't do what is expected of them, but you can force your troops to follow you by implementing the uniform code of military justice. But joining the Rotary, I have to pivot 180 degrees, so change my leadership ways, because I believe Rotary, you have to lead from the front. And I'm always a goal-oriented person. I have a goal, and I want to accomplish that goal. And so leadership in Rotary is kind of a second level to me. It's almost transparent because I want to see goals achieved, and lead from the front, actually.
Okay,
And,
great. Thanks. That's awesome, the story. Yeah, I know that you have that military background. In military, it's a whole different ball game. But yeah, sometimes our leadership experiences in our work, they translate over pretty easily, and sometimes they don't. it's more difficult to do that. But Joanne, you had a question. Let's take your
No,
question.
not a question, just a couple of comments.
Okay.
Leadership training, I taught middle schoolers for 20 years. And sometimes running a Rotary meeting is sort of like having 20 or 30 eighth graders. You know how that goes. So how to organize a meeting is a good thing. And also I was lucky enough to get trained in Chicago in community organizing for 2 weeks. And that was really, really good training in how to get people in your neighborhood and everybody you know to put together a power base and get something done for your community. So those two really, really, really helped.
All right, great. We need some community organizations. So any last comments? We're getting close to the hour. I'm going to wind up with just a few more points. Anybody else want to chime in on this before we wrap up for the day? Okay. Couple of points, right? Oh, Jay, go ahead.
Well, as you know, most of you know, I've been in Rotary for just over 50 years, and you learn with every meeting and every time you have a speaker, you pick up something, and you throw enough against the wall, some of it's going to stick, and that's what seems to happen. I'll never forget when I was first president. I was obviously much younger, and we had won the Olympics in basketball, and the center was from our town in Brentwood, New York, Mitch Kupchak. And the big stage is set up there, in the park with this trailer and a stage. And they said, well, who's going to sit to your right? And who's going to sit to your left? I had no idea on this stuff, but you learn. If we could just pick up one thing from every meeting, we'd be geniuses, really. Just every time someone says something, a little bit sticks. And, that's how you become a leader. I was a business owner, and, that put me in the leadership role. But it is different to be a Rotary leader, and being a president now than it was 40 and 45 years ago is completely different. I mean, Rotary's changed. Thank goodness we have women in Rotary.
Yay!
Yeah, well, I introduced the first woman in our club, second in the district, and she went on to become a district governor. So, I'm very much for it. And there were members that didn't want to be. They wanted an all men's club, and maybe I was the youngest then. Now I'm the oldest. So I really enjoy these programs. I try to attend just about every one that I can. So thank you.
Thanks, Jay. Yeah, appreciate those comments. And what's really great about having these sort of open discussions like this is that we get perspectives from people that have such varied backgrounds, right? Come from all over, New York, Chicago, Philippines, wherever it is. But we're all here because we're all trying to accomplish the same thing, right? So here's my 3 points for today that we can go away with this, right? Is that one, is that leadership needs to be developed, right? So you can be a kid like some of us, right? Where you're the oldest and you're just, boom, you're in there, you're the leader, right? Now, not everybody gets to have that experience where, you're sort of bred to be a leader as a little kid, right? And so luckily for me, I had that early on, and it just kept getting more and more as I got older. Not everybody has that experience, right? So number one, leadership needs to be developed, right? The point of the whole exercise this morning in writing out that paragraph is that people won't step up on their own into leadership until they see themselves as a leader, or at least has some leadership capabilities or some leadership potential. Now, those 11 or 12 things that I wrote up, I enjoy people, I like listening to people, I enjoy learning. I just pull those out of what I observe in leadership people, or people that are in leadership in Rotary. Okay, those are all things that I have observed, that people they're lifetime learners. They listen to people. They see themselves as people who can get others to work together. All right. They've aspired or had some leadership goal in their thinking, right? So we have to work to help people to understand their own potential as leaders. And we won't do that unless we start reaching out to people and drawing them in like these quiet leaders that Joanne was talking about. Because some of you guys, like David, of course, said, hey, I just was on the sidelines for years and years and decided, okay, I'm gonna step up now and be part of it, right? And so that's thing number 2, right? And so, and then the last and final thing, right, is that the development of our leadership is really, it's everybody's responsibility. And sometimes people just need to be asked, right? Now, a lot of times they may say no, but if they say, hey, I could use somebody to organize this, or I need somebody that could be on this committee. The thing about Rotarians, what they respond to is they respond to this. Can you help me? I need your help. And those words are really, really powerful, not just in Rotary, but everywhere. But what I find about Rotarians, almost guaranteed, is that they want to be helpful. So, okay, I'll close it out for the day. We're a little bit after 10 o'clock. Still time to go out and do something good for the world. I'm off after Naomi and I talked to a electric vehicle thing. So go do something good for the world. Unless anybody else has anything to say, Naomi, go ahead.
We have the incoming board training next week, and so please encourage your incoming boards and your current boards to make it to that meeting, because we'll be talking about how the board can help the club, and many of you are incoming presidents, so it would be good to have a strong board to support you.
Do you have information on that, Naomi, that I can pass out?
So it's the same Zoom as today, and
Yeah.
it's for any board member or up and coming leader that you're developing on committees, and it'll be at 9 o'clock next week.
Next week, Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same time, same station.
So you're gonna send out an email to that effect, or I gotta create my own?
Oh, yes, we will. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
She's
Good,
pointing
good.
to- I got some Kuleana in this.
Because I didn't see that email yet, so.
Not yet. Not yet. Okay, folks. Anything else? Any last announcements? Randy, Sandy, anybody got a last thing to say here?
Well, I'll just chime in and say thanks, Vincent. I appreciate you putting these on every week. There was some great discussion that came out today. And one of the things that did pop up is that for future presidents, you got to ask early. You got to plan early. The pain is so much less if you know you're going to be president in 3 or 4 years, and it's easier to say yes to something 3 or 4 years down the road, and then you prep for it a little bit at a time, instead of that fire hose of information and stuff that you got to try and get to before 1 July. And it's like, oh my God, you don't have time enough to build your team. And, then you're just saying yes to anybody that will fill your board, instead of, going out and picking and choosing folks that are really going to contribute to the board. And then you can spread that wealth instead of taking everything on your shoulders yourself. So I think, David, you hit on several of those things today, but I just think it's very important. And, and last is that whenever you pick early and the person has an opportunity to prepare, Vincent and Naomi have put together this fantastic educational platform to where, it doesn't have to be a scary thing, and you devote just a little bit of time 3 years out, and it really is just a little bit of time. It's a tremendous amount of time for Vincent and Naomi to put these on, but for individuals, the board training coming up next week, it's just a little bit of time that you have to devote. It's not that become president, you got to attend every training that's out there, you delegate it, and you spread it out and stuff. So I know we're well past the 10 o'clock hour, but just wanted to thank Vincent and Naomi and everybody that participated today. So very, very good discussion.
Very well said, Brandy.
I'm gonna
Thank you.
give Sandy, the last word. Go for it, Sandy.
I'm sorry, and just as we close, I just want to also echo Randy and just say mahalo to all of you for stepping up or for allowing others to get you to step up. And I just want to share with you that some of my best memories that I have made and will continue to make has been in being a leader in Rotary or being in a leadership position. And if you serve with aloha, that aloha will always come back to you. Promise.
All right, that is a great way to end. Thanks so much, Sandy. Okay, folks, appreciate you guys coming in. Have a good rest of the day.
Thanks, Benson.